MC Laubscher, the host of the Cashflow Ninja podcast and also the president and chief wealth and investment strategist of Producers Wealth, where we help our clients integrate cashflow banking, also known as infinite banking, with their business and investments. If you're interested in learning more about how we create strategies that integrate cashflow banking and investments to turbocharge them, you can access a video series at yourownbankingsystem.com. That's yourownbankingsystem.com.
Welcome to the Cashflow Ninja, the podcast sharing how to create income streams and manage, multiply, and protect your wealth in the new economy. Here is your host inside the dojo, MC Laubscher.
Hello, Cashflow Ninjas. MC Laubscher, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Ninja. I have a great show for you today, and in today's show, I'm joined by Ace Chapman that will share the micro private equity strategy. After Ace dropped out of college, he bought his first business at 19 with some savings from a summer job and caught the business buying bug. Over the last 16 years, he has bought 40 businesses. Everything ranging from a mortgage company to a clothing retailer. Right now, he is seeing an explosion in the market for businesses under $2 million. Millions of baby boomer business owners will bring their business to market in the next decade so they can retire. At the same time, many entrepreneurs are realizing the risks associated with starting from scratch and are deciding to buy an existing profitable business instead. Ace helps entrepreneurs understand how and when to sell their business. He also works with first-time business buyers to help them find, due diligence, and finance small business acquisitions.
Are you an investor looking for passive cash flow but don't have the time to explore your options? Discover real estate. It's the best option for passive income that savvy investors have been turning to for years to generate income and build wealth. But the reality is real estate investing takes expertise, market knowledge, and time. So what do you do if you don't have the time or market knowledge? Discover how many business investors have found a way to generate cash flow from real estate investing. Their secret? They partner with proven private real estate investment funds. Four Peaks Capital Partners have created a system that allows accredited investors the opportunity to invest in undervalued assets to generate passive income and capital gains. Invest with the cash flow experts and sit back while Four Peaks does all the work. Call Four Peaks Capital Partners at 877-5-INCOME. That's 877-5-INCOME, or go to privateincomeinvesting.com. An offer to buy or sell securities is only made by a private placement memorandum. Prospective investors must read the PPM in its entirety before making an investment decision.
Ace, welcome back to the show.
It's great to be here with you.
For my listeners that's not familiar with you and what you're doing, can you please share a little bit about your background and journey and what you're currently up to?
Well, I love the name of the show, Cashflow Ninja. I am certainly all about cash flow. I had a realization when I was 19 years old that you could buy cash flow. It was back in 1999, and the internet was a new thing, and I ended up buying a income producing website from some guys that, bottom line, it just kind of left it by the wayside because they had a bigger, better business that was growing faster. And so this thing was making a lot of money for a 19-year-old, but they needed somebody to take over it. And so that was the first time I realized that, while I was in college trying to get a degree so that I could convince somebody to let me work for them for 9 to 5 and be happy to get a paycheck, that there was this other option out there that, somebody could come in, buy a business and immediately start generating cash flow. And so ever since then, it's been a passion of mine. And fast forward to today, we manage a fund that buys small businesses, which I kind of call micro private equity. I am credited in Investopedia as the creator of the term micro private equity. But the idea there is that unlike larger businesses, unlike real estate, unlike a lot of other things, you can buy these businesses at a very, very low multiple and a really high ROI, and that creating a portfolio of these businesses gives you a yield and cash flow that's hard to compete with in any other asset class.
Let's talk about purchasing the businesses, because I loved how you phrased it too, about buying cash flow, because that's exactly what you want, right? You want to find something that's already generating cash flow as opposed to building it from scratch. Maybe a good thing would be, Ace, is just to contrast the two and the challenges maybe of both, and maybe also the positives of both, because there's negatives and positives of starting your own or just purchasing something. Can you jump into that a little bit and share more about that?
Yeah, so there are pros and cons to each. You know, when I obviously love entrepreneurs, and some of the talks that I've given, I have people that come up to me afterwards, and they are kind of coming from a place of, dude, like you're kind of down on this whole startup thing. It's like, no, I want as many people to start businesses as possible, because if there aren't entrepreneurs out there starting businesses, I don't have anything to buy. So the last thing I want to do is say never become a entrepreneur and start a business from scratch. One of the biggest differences is that I think that an entrepreneur is just built differently. Most people that are starting businesses aren't real, true entrepreneurs. You know, the people like Mark Zuckerberg, people like Steve Jobs, especially, is just a great example. They are driven by a passion for a vision of something that they want to see in the world. And that's a beautiful thing. The problem is 90% of people really just want a little bit of freedom. They want to be able to pay their bills. They don't want to spend 40 years in a cubicle from 9 to 5 every day. It's just they're not driven by the idea that, phones should be sleek and not have buttons as like their passion in life. They want to spend more time with their family. They want to travel. And so that conflicts with being able to, in a lot of cases, start something, have that drive to get it over the hump and deal with what I call the entrepreneurial gauntlet of starting something from scratch. And so if you're one of those people that's like true to heart entrepreneur and you've got a vision for something that you're going to create, I think that there's really no better place. I mean, we're just so fortunate to live in a country where you have this option of starting something from scratch and building it the way that you want to. I think for really the great majority of people, they don't want to deal with that high failure rate of, they don't have the time. I mean, to take away money from their family, to take away time that they could spend, with their kids in Little League and not be making money just isn't something that a lot of people can do. And so the biggest downside to the startup is that you just have that period where you're learning a lot of different things. You don't know exactly what's going to apply to the business that you're going to start, what's going to be useful. They're investing in a lot of things. And, I love testing. I'm a big fan of that. It's so beautiful to be in an era where with the internet, we literally can test everything and make sure that it works before we ever, go really hardcore. So all being able to do that is awesome, but it's really great to be able to buy a business, be making money right then, take some of the income from that business, put it into testing in an environment where you kind of know what the product is, who your customers are, what's working, and so you've made a big leap there. And I think for a lot of folks, that environment is just a really what at the end of the day, what they want. They just have never been presented with the option that they could buy a business, and 99% of people have no idea that they could do it and not and it'd be cheaper than starting from scratch. So both of those things are kind of why I do a lot of what I do. Is that, when I was a kid trying to figure this stuff out, there just wasn't information out there. And so there are plenty of people that talk about all the benefits of starting from scratch. I don't spend a lot of time talking about it because they're that's 99.99% of all blogs and Entrepreneur Magazine articles and all that. And so I feel like my job is to present this other case and this other opportunity that just nobody talks about.
Right. And you make a lot of good points too. One of the first things is too, when starting a company, I mean, this could take a while for it to be cash flow positive, right? And profitable, where when you take over companies, they're profitable day one. They're cash flowing and producing income for you. Can you share a little bit, what are some of the things that you look for? And if we take a step back and look into the checklist of Ace Chapman and of what he looks at these companies that he thinks will be a good fit for his portfolio.
Yeah. So obviously the list is long and it grows every month because there's always new things, new tools, also new fraudulent things that sellers try to pull. So we're always adding to that list. But even to get into the deal, there are a few things that we want to make sure are the case. And some of them are just personal to me, and other things are just things that you want from any business that you're going to buy. The first one, just as you mentioned, it's cash flow. I'm not in the business of buying fixer-upper. Some people ask me like, oh, so it's kind of like real estate where you take a broken business and you try to fix it. And the truth is that's worse than even just starting from scratch, because you're starting in the negative. This thing is already not working. And so you're losing money and trying to get it to work. So we don't do that. So what we want is a business that is profitable right now and has some kind of consistent source of income that isn't, just doesn't have highs and lows and go through ups and downs. I really like a business that comes in pretty monthly. Now that my portfolio is a little bit larger, we'll do some deals that are a little bit weird. We bought this business that is based on kind of weather. And that one's interesting because it just goes up and down. Kind of if there's a lot of hurricanes, people are coming to this site looking for information. If there's snowstorms, that kind of thing. But otherwise, if there's not anything big going on, then it'll be lower. So we'll do that. But for the average client that's getting started, I tell them to stay away from any deal like that, because your bills are going to come in monthly. You can't buy a business that does really great at Christmas and then doesn't make money the rest of the year, because your kids are going to want to eat the rest of the year. They're going to want electricity the rest of the year. So you've got to have that consistent stream of income. I find that works really well for the average person. So we want it to be cash flow positive. We want it to be consistent and have consistent income. And then I want it to be in business for a legitimate amount of time. When it comes to offline businesses, I love